Hi everyone, how are you today? Hope every one of you is doing fantastic. Welcome to LUAN Live Sessions. Today, we will start with something different than usual. We'll start with a visual and auditory journey. We're going to watch a bioluminescent dance that honors Mother Nature with the magic of CGI art. For those of you who don't know what it is, I recently learned about this, but CGI stands for computer generated imagery. And CGI artists create still and moving images and visual effects using computers. It's a new kind of art that's gaining a lot of significance around the world. And we spotted this trend, which is getting huge, and wanted to share it with you. Also, creating and consuming art boosts your creativity and boosts your self-esteem and provides a sense of accomplishment. It produces dopamine, which makes us feel good and increases our drive and improves our concentration. So when finished watching or creating a creative project, you feel this boost of dopamine that gives you this sense of motivation and accomplishment. So please have headphones on, please sit down, relax, and enjoy the ride. Yanni, could you help us play the video, please? I think there's no noise. Could you check the noise? There we go. The noise of the Wow, that was wonderful, right? Wasn't it? Welcome back. So let's begin our journey today. LUAN, international curated experiences that connect beauty, truth, and ethical reflection, bring inspiring voices from the intersection of art, ethics, and mindfulness in the lives of individuals on all continents. And before introducing today's speaker and the person going to be guiding with me this session, I would like to briefly share some speaking requests to help make today's session more interactive and engaging for all of you who have joined. At the bottom of the screen, you will see a control panel with a chat. Please go there now and write your name, your country of origin, and your organization. In the control panel, you will also find the questions section. You are encouraged to engage directly with me and Yanira by posting a question for us in the questions box. Please have in mind that you need to select the option sent to all panelists and attendees for everyone to see your post or question. And please submit your questions as early as possible, as there will be a time limit to how many can be answered. My name is Marion from LUAN Emotional Museum, and I want to thank you all so much for being here today with us. I see in the chat box that we have people from all over the world, and this is very, very exciting. It is my deep pleasure to welcome today LUAN's Director of Education and Innovation, Yanira Matienzo. She's been an innovation strategist with 17 years of experience designing creative concepts and innovation projects for entrepreneurs, companies, social organizations, and educational institutions. She's a university professor, lecturer, and research publicator, and focused on themes on creativity, imagination, educational innovation, and future design. Yanni, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Marion. And this is a beautiful session. I am so excited of what we're going to do here. And I am really happy also to introduce you, because I know that lots of people know you because you host in a beautiful way all our LUAN live sessions. But maybe some people don't know a little bit more about you. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Marion, because she's amazing and you need to know more about her. Marion is a curator. She is a season moderator, and she's expert in a lot of things, in interior design, scenography, art, content, innovation. And she's really passionate about the aesthetics of business. And she also is the brand gatekeeper and the visual gatekeeper of LUAN. So everything you see it's authorized by Marion. And we have her in the team, and it's amazing because she has the ability to not only dream up big ideas, but also executing these ideas in a highest level of performance. So thank you, Marion, for being part of LUAN and to host these amazing sessions.
Thank you. I'm humbled by that wonderful introduction. Thank you, Yanni.
Well,
and today's session, Hurry is Food for Worry. We'll explore how acceleration gives us rush to act, adrenaline to move, and comforts our sense of urgency. The state of our communities and the whole world make us wary, and moving fast seems like the only option if we want to have a bright future. But in today's event, ¿verdad, Yanni, we will be challenging these assumptions, because the stakes are in the decisions we make, and for doing it right, we need to make a stop, a pause. We think better and feel better in sync with ourselves, and we can have the time and space for our calm reflection and an inspirational recharge. Yanni, would you like to tell us a little bit about the first part of the event and the second part of the event?
Yes, the first part of the event, we are going to explore some hard data, cold data about some topics that matter too much for us. And we want to share with you and know what you think. And in the end, we want to do a little bit of an artistic and creative exercise called the postcards for your future self. So we're going to do that. And then we want to share with you some insights and ideas and what is happening inside LUAN, why LUAN started, and why we're doing all of this every week, and which are the services and products that LUAN has. So let's start, Marion.
Amazing, perfect. Could you help us share the presentation, please?
Yes.
I invite everyone to feel and explore inward, and let Yanira and I walk you through this experience that we have prepared for you. So please have a seat. We're going to start with some cold facts addressing many important issues in today's world, right? How is the world on mental health issues? As of the latest data the World Health Organization released, this graph is pretty impressive because you can see the before and after in mental health issues before the pandemic and where we're right now. No, well, when we were in the pandemic and the year before that. And as you can see in the graph, it could be either with anxiety or with depression. The data is completely outstanding. And it's something impressive that it's important to pinpoint about it, because every decade we have more access to healthcare, to hygiene, to education. We have access to information and technology that we have never, ever seen before. And it's incredible to see that the more we advance in health, in education, in other areas that our humanity is evolving, the more our mental health decreases. So what are we doing wrong, right? If you can go to the next slide, Yanni, please. The latest data the World Health Organization released, 10.7% of the global population have a mental health issue. That makes 792 million people around the world. And it's 11.9% of females and 9.3% of males. We're going to see in several graphs that there's more the mental health issues with females than with men. And we can see this one, which is a comparison between depression and anxiety. This graph, I found it fascinating because it actually tells you that many continents around the world, or many places around the world, have more issues with depression, right? And in average, the world has more issues with depression, except for the Americas. The Americas have way more anxiety disorders than depressive disorders. And that's really impressive. This graph is made by the World Health Organization. And then on the next slide, we have over here the number of cases around the world with depressive disorder, and that makes 322 million people around the world, with number one place being Southeast Asia region. And then in the next slide, we can see the prevalence of depressive disorders. It's more common on females, as you can see in different regions and different countries around the world. And then this one has to do with anxiety disorders. There's 264 million people having anxiety issues. And also number one is Southeast Asia region. So clearly there's something that we are doing wrong, right? This is the prevalence of anxiety disorders, and we can see a spike, right? There's more females around the world, but normally they're, kind of like stable, let's say, no? Like average. And then it kind of like has this huge peak, in the Americas. And maybe, what is this? So why is this happening? For example, females that we've seen in this graph, they reported more depression than males, would be due to several reasons. One of them could be because they're more in contact with their emotions. If we are going to generalize on something, they could be a little bit more open about emotions. We still see that for males around the world, it's still, kind of some education, models are still about, oh, you don't cry like a girl, telling like young boys, which that is completely ridiculous, right? And then maybe women can feel, more open about talking about their emotions. And another thing that we can see is a lack of equality around the world. Maybe women have higher demands than men, right? And for example, if you have like a real life example, for example, for females and for many people around the world, there are many demands at the same time, kind of like having a successful profession, And it's a little bit more common that women can be working the same times as men and earning a little bit less more, maybe raising children, maybe doing household chores, maybe taking care of their health, plus expected for females to take care of family members, kind of like your parents or grandparents, right? I think it's even too much for Wonder Woman. It's way too much demanding that we have outside. The high demand is either for males and for females, right? It's also for both. So clearly it's something that is not getting well. So if I can ask you, how does depression feel like? Can you tell me a little bit how have some people felt about it? For example, I see here in the chat box that it's of someone not wanting to do something. Another one is about feeling hopeless. Self-esteem is often absent. Sleeping may become problematic. Concentration or focus becomes harder. Energy levels sometimes can be non-existent, and food may not be appetizing, or it could be used as a comfort. In anxiety, for example, how does it feel like? Physically, people tend to feel kind of like uncomfortable or here comfortable in their tummy, right? Anxiety also feels kind of like these, kind of like, something that you're not feeling well with. It also impairs the way you think and the way you learn when you have high levels of anxiety. Also, anxiety does not let you relax. And anxiety is actually the fear of fear, stated by Matthew Connelly, which is one of the biggest psychologists and psychiatrists studying what anxiety does to your body. So he states that anxiety is, when we anticipate that fear is going to come, so then we fear that anticipation of fear, right? So it's pretty complicated. Of course, there's something that we need to address. And I see over here more comments like feeling numb, feeling lost, feeling exhausted and drained, living without life. Yes, totally. Could you go to the next slide, Yanni, please? And what about noise? Noise is something that it's not that much talked about, right, around the world. Noise is something that it really impairs us, but eventually I think it's something positive to start talking about it. So how loud is too loud? So the World Health Organization guidelines states or recommends that for community noise, the best is less than 30 decibels. Bedrooms during night is less than 35 decibels. And classrooms, to create this, ambience of, learning and openness, it should be less than 35 decibels. So for night noise, recommended is less than 40 decibels. That's an annual average. Can you go to the next slide, please? We're going to see how people are affected around the world. So 40% of the population living in urban areas are exposed to road traffic levels exceeding 55 decibels. 20% is exposed of 65 or more decibels during daytime, and more than 30% of the world is exposed of levels exceeding 55 decibels at night. So who are the people that are more, damaged by this? Can you go to the next slide, please? We have number one is children, because they spend more time in bed than adults. So the whole world, is kind of like at the same rhythm, and then children are at night and they're being affected by it, right? Chronically ill and elderly people are more sensitive to disturbance. Shift workers, because their sleep structure is under stress, they should be, resting at night, and on the contrary, they're sleeping during the day. So they are, exposed to all kind of noise around. And the less affluent are likely to suffer disproportionately because of the household conditions or the regions where their homes are. And noise can lead to an increase in medical visits and spending on sleeping pills, which affects families' budgets and countries' health expenditure. And what about health and noise? For example, if you can go to the next slide, please. Studies say that if the chronic exposure to, for example, aircraft noise on children, they have found that it harms cognitive performance, that it impairs well-being and motivation, and that it has negative effects on blood pressure and hormone secretion. Wow, right? Something that we sometimes don't think that eventually, could be harming our mental health, but it actually is. So that's also something important that we are going to address today, of this importance of having a pause and a calm, quiet space to work and to think and to, enter these kind of like flow states, right? And what about saying no often? How about putting our boundaries, especially with families, right? Boundaries with families are really complicated, as well as boundaries at work, right? So if you can go to the next slide. So actually what it is a boundary, let's explore it first. Personal boundaries define you as an individual, outlining your likes and dislikes and setting the distances you allow others to approach you or your personal or emotional space, right? These include physical, mental, psychological, and spiritual boundaries, including beliefs, emotions, intuitions, and self-esteem, right? Boundaries are kind of like limits that you present or sometimes don't present in your interaction with others, right? And we're going to see some of those examples. Boundary setting in relationships are so important. Sometimes we can feel that we can be kind of selfish, or we can be accused of being selfish sometimes, but I think it has to do with self-compassion for others and for yourself, because if you're not nurturing yourself internally, then eventually you cannot nurture others around you, right? It's a difficult skill to develop, true, but it's something obviously that we all can do, right? And we're going to work on that. Next, please. And also, before we start with the next slide, let me tell you a little bit of kind of like real life examples about setting boundaries. For example, imagine that you have, or I have, an alcoholic parent who drinks too much and becomes verbally abusive, let's say Friday evening family dinner, right? And then eventually a healthy boundary that you could put is maybe saying, Mom, Dad, we love you so much, but why don't we meet for breakfast on Sundays rather than on Friday evenings, right? Which that may lessen the likelihood of heavy drinking, right? You may choose to state your reasons depending on how reactive your parent is likely to be, but the boundary helps create the likelihood of better interactions for both parties by minimizing verbal abuse, right? And then you might say, or for example, you have a parent that, drops into your home every time. And then you can be like, Mom or Dad, please let us know when you're coming, because sometimes we won't be available. And then the next day, your mom or dad arrives to your home and then you're not available, right? And you make yourself not available. Maybe it's going to be tough at the beginning, but then at some point, that person might actually, understand that, if they come, without not announcing themselves, then eventually, it could be kind of like sometime misused for them, right? And maybe you can say, won't this make them angry or create more problems? Well, potentially at first it can. And often we begin to create new boundaries, and the person we are creating them with will push against the boundary for a short period of time. But it is really important to hold firm. If you set a limit, stick to it. There is nothing worse than not keeping your word, right? So I know that it's an example, but see yourself as with, this sense of what is a healthy boundary for me and for others, because and it's a responsibility that you need to nurture yourself constantly over and over again, right? And then in the next slide, we're going to see some impressive data about what regrets, for example, keep coming back to your mind. What things, kind of like wake you up at night saying, oh my God, I should have done this, or why didn't I think of this, or oh, maybe I made a mistake and I shouldn't have reacted like this, right? We all have regrets. We are all humans. We all experience them. So we're going to see what's the typical average of the American life of human regrets. I have the American, graph, because it's the one that has more data around the world, right? I would love to have one graph that has the data of the whole world, right? But we have the first three. It's really impressive. The first three has to do with people, have to do with some kind of relationships, right? It's romance, family, and education. And education, it has to do with the relationship with yourself, right? And romance, well, with a partner, right? With a lover, and family, with the people that surround us and the people that we love. In these top three, we don't see anything that has to do with success. We don't see, work. We don't see many other things. And usually, when we talk about education, sometimes it can be regarded that it has to do with the people around our lives, right? For example, if you come from a family of lawyers, then you were expected to study law or study whichever course you wanted, and then eventually you didn't felt the urge inside of you or that autonomy to actually go and study what actually made your heart spark, right? And that happens often, that we're sometimes choosing the education that we want because maybe we need to fit a profile in our families, because we need to fit a profile with our peers, with different students, with friends, right? So I wanted to show this graph because it's really, really, really important to see that the most important regrets in a typical American life has to do with relationships, right? And I invite you to see which topic is more related to your life and the ones you love. So over here, David says regrets. For me, definitely it's boundaries. That's my kind of like my important point, that I can still manage it correctly. For you, Yanni?
For me, recently, noise.
No.
Yes, I have I am more sensible about noise in my day-to-day life. So it's affecting me a little bit of living in a big city like Mexico City. I think that I wasn't aware of the impact of noise in my life until recently. Yes.
Wow, that's very important. Over here, they say Rose's boundaries. Shasta number 3, Barbara 3, Noe 1, Amanda everything, Ajita 1, Camise 1, Lily 3, Sarah regret the noise, anxiety number 1. Noise, yes, in Mexico City there's a lot of noise, and I can imagine also some cities in India, no, as well. No, there's a lot. Danny says regrets. Yes, yes. And it's really important to see, what's the state of our lives and the people around us, right? Our community, and how are we more affected by these issues,
Yeah,
right?
for example, regrets. I think that you think that you are really good in your life and you are doing your stuff, and in a moment that you are not expecting, some regret enters your mind, and you think, well, I don't remember, or I don't have this awareness of that in my past, and now I feel that it's important to address that regret, and I that's it's impressive how the mind works. And in the moment that you don't expect, it appears the regret.
Of course. And when you are maybe having a creative flow, you're at work or you're spending time with the people that you love and you have a regret, it's like instantly you feel kind of like this, you're kind of like get inundated by this anxiety, right? And of course, it kind of like cuts you out of the moment. If you're in flow, you stop being in flow. You can't concentrate anymore. Sometimes, actually, people even, pronounce loud noises when they have a regret, kind of like, and people around are like, "Are you okay? Is everything okay?" And it's because you had kind of like this big impression on your body with
Yeah,
with,
and
with some regret.
the weight of the guilt in your body, the sense you have in the body of how it reacts to these emotions, so dense emotions like guilt, that regret, um, uh, um, unsatisfaction.
Mm-hmm. Totally, totally. Ajita shares, anxiety makes me worry all the time. Rather, I would like to be in the present. Yes, totally. Actually, about that, Ajita, I think we've also mentioned it last week, but this book about Jill Bolte Taylor, Whole Brain Living, talks exactly about that. When you're in a character you don't want to be in, then how you can shift it. For example, anxiety is character number 2, and then how you can shift it easily to character number 3, which is a character that that is being in the moment. But yeah, it's really, really incredible, all of these things happening around us. Wonderful. I love this quote by David Orr. I think it's fascinating because I totally agree with him. So it says the planet does not need more successful people, but it does desperately need more peacemakers, healers, restorers, storytellers, and lovers of any kind. It needs people who live well in their places. It needs people of moral courage willing to join the fight to make the world habitable and humane. I think this book, sums, part of our mission here in LUAN, and part of the mission that Yanni and I have.
Yes, I love this quote. When you suggested for this presentation, I was thinking of in the invisible, in the power of the small things, in the relevance of the minimums. It's not about the maximums. It's not about doing more, achieving more. It's not about having more, consuming more. It's like this uh, inward, no, thinking. It's about reconnecting with the basics, with the essentials thing of our life. And I think that that's it. We don't need some sophisticated solution for depression, anxiety, noise, regret. Yes, we can use technology to live better, and we need better politicians and better governments. But essentially, we need to look back to the invisible, to the small things like the restorers, the healers, the storytellers, the ones that use their hands, the ones that feel with all their body, the ones that tell their lives and their regrets and the past stories of their families and how they achieve being here today. So I think that's LUAN, and that's the reason we are here. Find an oasis in art, in recharge with calm reflection. What do you think? I think that who doesn't want a good rounded life, and that's it. How we can achieve a good rounded life if we are submerged in everything, and everything is causing us all these factors, all these effects.
Of course, and I think that the moment that, when we die, no, when we will arrive to that point, I think eventually we will kind of like look back to actually the moments that took our breath away, than actually the moments that we kind of like exhausted ourselves to death, right? Because we needed to kind of like fit in a cultural, identity, right? And I think the beauty about slowing down and the beauty of living a mindful life is that it helps us kind of like, it's kind of like shaking, water with oil, right? If you shake it, then it's gonna be all, all everything, all the molecules, they're going to be, mixed together. And then when you put the glass still, eventually the water goes down, and the oil, because it has a different, molecule consistency, it goes up, and you can separate, the matter from the liquid, right? And it's something really impressive, because there's simple things that we can do living a mindful life that eventually could help us, kind of like unshake, and kind of like help us prioritize what's really important for us in our lives, and how do we want to live this life, and what is the most important gift that we want to give to humanity before we go to a different dimension or plane or whatever happens next, right?
Yes, yes, it's so true. I think that we need to empty ourselves, empty our space. We need to have more freedom, more space to listen, to pause, to really reflect and sit with the thing and with the idea and with our emotions and with our body. Uh, Before we can make some decision and some crucial decisions for the way we live. And I think that art is beautiful for this. And I think that we can now start this exercise, this creative exercise with all the community. What do you think?
Yes, let's start with it.
Yes. Well, the invitation now is that we are going to need, and we want to invite you to focus your attention in this moment, in this present moment, and be clear with your intention about why you are here and why you are going to take advantage of this session. Enjoy this moment of pause, of slowing down, of having all these ideas in the head, and let it rest. And Marion is going to guide us for a moment of breath work.
Thank you, Yanni. Thanks so much. So now let's breathe. I'm going to guide you to a short breathing exercise just to kind of like pump our creative juices before we start the creative exercise with Yanni. So please find a comfortable position, either sitting or lying down with your head, neck, and spine aligned, please. You can, that's really important. Uncross your legs and let your hands rest quietly in your lap by your sides. Loosening any tight clothing and gently close your eyes. As your body settles and your eyes close, bring your awareness to your breathing. Notice the breath coming in and the breath going out. Follow the breath with your awareness. Follow the breath all the way in and follow the breath all the way out. Not trying to change it in any way. For anyone in the audience that have cardiac conditions, please go slowly. And for anyone in the audience who are pregnant, also please go slowly. For everybody else, you can go in the breath work as intense as you like it, right? And then breathing in, feeling the breath as it passes through your nostrils. Breathing out, feeling the breath as it leaves your nostrils or your mouth. Keeping your awareness lightly and gently on your breath. Breathing mindfully in the present moment. If thoughts come in, as they usually do, acknowledge the thoughts without judgment and let them go. Let them drift away like the clouds floating across the sky and bring your awareness back to your breath, back to your breathing and back to the present moment. Can you start the music, Yanni, please? Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in 6. Breathe out in 6. Breathe in 6. Breathe out in 6. Breathe in 6. Breathe out in 6. And now we're going to start with the fire breath. The fire breath is you inhale and exhale really fast from your nose, everything with your nose, okay? It looks like this, and you move your chest in and out. And then you let all the breath out, making a noise. And you breathe in, and then you breathe out, making a noise. Breathe in, and you breathe out, making a noise. Breathe in, and then out. And then you wrap your hands on the right side below, and you're gonna do I know it sounds weird, but it's actually something recommended in breathwork to turn all of the all of the emotions and suffering around the world and turn it into a cosmos to transform it. So please bear with me, okay? So grab it to your right. Hoo, ha, hoo, ha, hoo, ha, hoo, ha, hoo, ha, hoo, ha, and close your eyes. Hoo, ha, hoo, ha, hoo, ha, hoo, ha, hoo, ha, hoo, ha, hoo, ha. Ha, hoo, ha. And then on your left side, hoo, ha, 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 hoo, ha. And then breathe normally. You will sense a lot of movement and probably, some heat. Breathe in and out. Dwell in the present moment. Continue to mindfully breathe for as long as you like. And as we bring this meditation to an end, keeping your eyes closed for a moment. Take a moment to notice and to scan how are you feeling? How is your body feeling? How's your mind feeling, your spirit? And if you feel like it, offer gratitude for this time you have taken for yourself to be quiet, to breathe. Have gratitude for the body that you're inhabiting that makes you feel and experience life to its full joy. And give gratitude to the creative universe for letting you experience this day. So slowly come back into the room, opening your eyes whenever you're ready. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed. It was a little bit more intense than other sessions that we had. But it actually helps a lot, because it unifies both hemispheres of the brain and it helps a lot with creativity. So we want to share with you a video that life happens when you're not looking, because life is what we have right now, right here, right in the present moment. So we're gonna share this, it's a 4-minute video about what happens when we miss out of what is happening in our lives. Could you play the video, please, Yanni?
I have 422 friends, yet I'm lonely. I speak to all of them every day, yet none of them really know me. The problem I have sits in the spaces between looking into their eyes or at a name on a screen. I took a step back and opened my eyes. I looked around and realised that this media we call social is anything but when we open our computers and it's our doors we shut. All this technology we have, it's just an illusion. Community, companionship, a sense of inclusion. Yet when you step away from this device of delusion, you awaken to see a world of confusion. A world where we're slaves to the technology we mastered, where information gets sold by some rich, greedy bastard. A world of self-interest, self-image, self-promotion, where we all share our best bits but leave out the emotion. We're at our most happy with an experience we share, but is it the same if no one is there? Be there for your friends and they'll be there too, but no one will be if a group message will do. We edit and exaggerate, crave adulation. We pretend not to notice the social isolation. We put our words into order until our lives are glistening. We don't even know if anyone is listening. Being alone isn't the problem. Let me just emphasise, if you read a book, paint a picture, or do some exercise, you're being productive and present, not reserved and recluse. You're being awake and attentive and putting your time to good use. So when you're in public and you start to feel alone, put your hands behind your head, step away from the phone. You don't need to stare at your menu or at your contact list. Just talk to one another. Learn to coexist. I can't stand to hear the silence of a busy commuter train where no one wants to talk through the fear of looking insane. We're becoming unsocial. It no longer satisfies to engage with one another and look into someone's eyes. We're surrounded by children who, since they were born, have watched us living like robots and think it's the norm. It's not very likely you'll make world's greatest dad if you can't entertain a child without using an iPad. When I was a child, I'd never be home. Be out with my friends on our bikes we would roam. I'd wear holes in my trainers and graze up my knees. We'd build our own clubhouse high up in the trees. Now the park's so quiet it gives me a chill. See no children outside and the swings hanging still. There's no skipping, no hopscotch, no church and no steeple. We're a generation of idiots, smartphones and dumb people. So look up from your phone, shut down the display. Take in your surroundings, make the most of today. Just one real connection is all it can take to show you the difference that being there can make. Be there in the moment that she gives you the look that you remember forever as when love overtook. The time she first holds your hand or first kiss your lips. The time you first disagree but still love her to bits. The time you don't have to tell hundreds of what you've just done because you want to share this moment with just this one. The time you'll sell your computer so you can buy a ring for the girl of your dreams who is now the real thing. The time you want to start a family, and the moment when you first hold your little girl and get to fall in love again. The time she keeps you up at night and all you want is rest, and the time you wipe away the tears as your baby flees the nest. The time your baby girl returns with a boy for you to hold, and the time he calls you granddad and makes you feel real old. The time you take in all you've made just by giving life attention, and how you're glad you didn't waste it by looking down at some invention. The time you hold your wife's hand, sit down beside her bed, you tell her that you love her, lay a kiss upon her head. She then whispers to you quietly as her heart gives a final beat that she's lucky she got stopped by that lost boy in the street. But none of these times ever happened. You never had any of this. When you're too busy looking down, you don't see the chances you miss. So look up from your phone, shut down those displays. We have a finite existence, a set number of days. Don't waste your life getting caught in the net, as when the end comes, nothing's worse than regret. I'm guilty too of being part of this machine, this digital world we are heard but not seen, where we type as we talk and we read as we chat, where we spend hours together without making eye contact. So don't give in to a life where you follow the hype. Give people your love, don't give them your like. Disconnect from the need to be heard and defined. Go out into the world, leave distractions behind. Look up from your phone, shut down that display. Stop watching this video, live life the real way.
How did it make you feel? Ajita says, this video is making me emotional. This is true and sad all this at the same moment. How we are all our indulge in this digital world. How many opportunities did we miss like this? Yeah, sometimes we're missing just like kind of like the present moment. And the same happens in our head, right? With depression and anxiety. Sometimes we're missing what we have here right now. This was beautiful and hit close to home. Thank you. Really touched a nerve, touched sensitive. We need to make a detox from digital devices. So true. I'm glad me and my daughters and thoughtful family are very device conscious. Yes, that's amazing. How did it make you feel, Yanni?
I think that it made me feel honored to have a life. And the vast opportunities we have every day, the possibilities to do that, to be in the phone when it's not only necessary because it's giving me something to work on, to really reflect, and the possibility to let the phone down and go out and just breathe and just observe and just laugh. I feel blessed. I feel blessed to have always the possibility every day to do it.
Yeah, and to choose, right? Because we have that possibility to choose all the time. And it doesn't mean that, mobiles or technology is bad. Of course not, right? It has actually helped us a lot in many things in our lives, but maybe using it in excess it's what's actually can be harming of, you know, living other things that are, you know, more fruitful in our lives, right?
Yeah, or letting every information, every piece of content to enter your eyes and enter your mind. And I think, like Akshaya is saying, we need to choose wisely, how to decide what enters and what not. So with that in mind, do you remember in these in other times these analog experiences, analog artifacts of the postcards or the love letters? Do you remember?
Of course,
Do you
reading by
have?
hand, right?
Yeah. Do you have in your house these handwritten exercises? Tell us in the chat. Do you send postcards in this time? Or maybe you save the letters your grandparents sent to each other. Tell us in the chat if you have these antique devices, analog devices, close in your home or in your place.
Yes, over here, Sophia says that she remembers having these handwritten letters that they both wrote each other from her grandma and her grandpa. They were writing to each other.
Ah, beautiful.
Imagine
That's
that was kind of
amazing.
like dating, right? It was
Yes.
actually real dating, you know?
Yeah, you need to date several years because the postal office was not so fast.
Exactly. It was kind of like sending one letter, and then maybe, you know, after so many weeks or maybe months, you know, the response came back,
Yes.
right?
So with this in mind, we want to invite you to this small exercise, postcards to my future self. Think about your life. Think about everything that you are feeling right now. Think about this moment when you are slowing down and pause in everything else in your life. And I want to give you 3 postcards, 3 ideas, 3 powerful and simple ideas that are the basis to live a more well-rounded life with less anxiety, depression, regrets, noise. So tell me in the chat, what do you think of these 3 powerful ideas? The first one is, if, do nothing. If you feel anxious, do nothing. If you feel remorse, do nothing. If you feel guilt, do nothing. If you feel angry, do nothing. Wait, pause. Let it, your body, your mind, your heart, your intuition, your gut, to connect, to feel it, to be with that, it doesn't matter what it is. Let it us be in the nothing, in the void. Let it not resist what is happening, and let do nothing to resist the urge or the impulse to talk back, to answer, to decide something, to rush, to leave everything because time is running out. So if you feel happy, if you feel excited, do nothing. Just be in the moment and feel it, and then have this calm reflection that give you clarity to take a decision or to make the next step. That's the first powerful idea that I discovered several years ago in a creative conference, and it always resonated with me. The second one, be comfortable with your silence and solitude. Surround yourself with art. In LUAN, we say it a lot. Art is the most powerful tool for transformation, to bring cultures closer, to to make the dialogue happen between opposite people, to find a common ground, to develop our cognitive skills, because art, in all the research we have now, we know that art helps us to observe, to express, to imagine possibilities, to develop our critical thinking, to communicate our ideas, to learn to sense the artwork and sense others, to go into a deep level of language and to interaction with the art and with the community. So how much how much time in your life pass with art or without it? So that's another powerful idea. Be surrounded with art in silence and in this free space with everything is possible. And the third idea is the possibility to permit yourself to create and play. And that's something that we love in LUAN, because we are always rushing. We are always worried about the deadline, the object, the goal, the number, the grade, the next presentation, the next, my job, my things, my goals, the things I want to do in the next 5 years, 10 years. But there is nothing more beautiful and peaceful if we only do play and create art and enjoy ourselves with no other purpose, to just do it. Not because we are going to send it to our feed in social media, or because we are going to share with others, or because we want fame or recognition, or because we need validation. It's only the possibility to create and play because it's good for us, because we feel better, because we feel alive, because we learn to sense ourselves. So with these three ideas, we want to ask you, what will you put in your postcard for your future self? Tell us in the chat. What will you put, Marion?
For me, I will definitely put, to play and create more, right? I love that part about, you see kids, they're playing all the time. And that's something that I really, really enjoy, that the time that I spend with my kids, it's about playing, right? Playing and creating, and everything could be made, it could be kind of like this little thing, and you can create, a monster that comes eating them, and they play and they hide, and everything has to do with playing, right? And creating and imagining, this kind of like stories and scenarios, and kind of like there's no limit. And I believe that, playing and creating, it actually kind of like takes out of our everyday kind of like mundane, right? Life, and helps us, trigger different parts of our brain that I think eventually makes us more creative, right? I think for me it would definitely be that. And I would love to be playing and creating every minute of my life. Waking up and playing.
Yeah, I support you. Yes. The best days are when you can start the day without an alarm clock, or maybe with the possibility of reading, of laughing, or playing, and creating ideas just for the sake of it. And then start the day and do everything we need to do. But finding these treasure moments is the best.
Totally. Over here, they're sharing, Susan shares, it's okay to do nothing. Breathe and be. Totally. 100%. Number one. Lily shares, creating art has transformed my life. All sufferings and anxieties have been processed through it. That's wonderful, Lily. I hope for that, because I think that is kind of like part of the purpose of art and part of the purpose of LUAN. So yes, surround yourself with art. Shasa says, I would write, it's okay if you spent 21 years in a relationship that meant everything to you and then it ended, but what you learned was better than any time being. Of course, sometimes life has the ability to bring us, people and situations that they might not give us what we want, but maybe they will give us what we need. Huh? Erica shares bringing a playful approach to everything we do, being open and curious, being fun. 100%. What's yours, Jenny?
Um, I will put that humans are the evidence that second chances exist. I think that we need to bring hope and bring hope to the table. There is always a second chance. Maybe it's not in the shape that we want, but there is always a second chance, a possibility. So I would love to put that in a postcard. Yes.
Barbara is talking about Reggio children. I believe you're talking about the Reggio Emilia pedagogic no? Education are exactly that. Observe, play, create, imagine, see the world through children's eyes. I have to start again with hope. Yes, totally. Ajita, surround with many people and support each other. Do what you love and love what you do. Totally, words of truth.
And finally, with what image will you put in your postcard? Which piece of art, which painting, which photograph do you want to put in your postcard that you are thinking in this moment? Maybe it's the photograph of your grandparents, or maybe it's a photograph of a place you went when you were a child. Maybe Marion going to put their kids playing, or with with the imaginary dragon.
Yes, yes. I have this place actually, which is called, I call it my happy place, which is kind of like, it's an imaginary place in my head that it has a lake and it has, tons of tree and it has kind of like a box, like in the middle of the lake that, water goes, all the way down. It's a very magical place. And you can see sunsets like 360 degrees around. And that place is kind of like where I create in my future, kind of like I go in there in meditations, and that's kind of like the place that kind of like starts it all. So I would definitely try to, paint that image in my postcard.
I love it.
Lily says a flying bird. Ajita, I would put my photo of my cat and my heart nearby. Always makes me smile. Erica shares a photograph of myself, arms wide open, looking up at the sky and dancing. Beautiful.
Well, we want that these ideas come to life. So we are going to share with you a link with a download template of a postcard, so you can do your art, write your idea, put your photograph. We would love if you share it with us. Maybe we can make a showcase for to display a lot in our community. What are we thinking? What are we feeling? So here is the link in the chat. We will love if you want to make some art with us. Marion and I, we are going to make our postcard and put it on the blog. So if you do it, we would love to collect everyone's and share it too.
Yes, we would love to see your work.
Well, this was our creative exercise, starting with hard data, with reflection, with a moment of contemplating art at the beginning, and then a moment of intention and breath work, and finally a reflection, a creative reflection with these postcards for thinking about what we need and what we are feeling. So with everything. This is a sneak peek. This is why LUAN exists. LUAN is this. this space for calm, for art, for ideas, for coming together, to belong together, to pause to this rush of life, and to find a place where we can be us, be authentic, and the opportunity to reflect, to take better decisions, to find clarity, and to have these feel good experiences that recharge us to then come back to the world and give generously. I think that's one, Mario.
Totally. And Luan, we just have, 20 more minutes, so bear with us. We're just going to, kind of like give you a sneak peek about what is Luan, what are the origins of Luan, and what we have, prepared for you, what are kind of like our next plans. So Luan is a space for brave souls who are daring to feel, to express, to question, to dive within and face whatever may be. There are places in our heart where only art can come with us. There are wounds that only beauty can signify, right? And LUAN Emotional Museum exhibits humanism, ethics, compassion, authenticity, evolution, tolerance, inclusivity, right? We promote our values through artistic expression because we know of art's universal transformative power, and we advocate for that. We're fascinated by the poetics of being alive, and with the privilege to feel, we curate, select, and produce content to elevate, entice, and inspire. LUAN offers on-demand inspiration because our whole heart is set on beauty and our best bets are set on art. Right, Yanni?
Yes, and I think we in LUAN thinks that we need to think really, really profound about how to be good ancestors, how to be just us, and how to take advantage of every minute of our life, but in the possibilities of change, of art, of reflection, on being with the persons we love. So that's the origin of LUAN. LUAN started in Mexico City with entrepreneur really concerned about social responsibility or ethics, and really convinced about the power of art. Then with him, with Nathan, we start collaborating, Marion and me, and we can share with you all the iterations that LUAN has in the history. We changed the name several times. We changed the approach. We changed the model. We think over and over how we can connect and how we can put in the table all these human topics that there is necessarily no fame or a vital thing. It's the most profound, the most invisible, and the small things that make this beauty. So well, that's how it starts. Yeah.
And also, it started, just to compliment you on that, it started as a movement that was born out of a social commitment, a contribution to develop ethical and generous minds through creative interaction, right? One of the iterations that Yanni talked about, that's when, LUAN became, called Emotional Museum, and is the world's first emotional museum. And we designed a unique and potent online experience with the intent to fuel your growth and evolution. And we offer different, multi-format content to connect with yourself and with others around you. Our membership entices sincere global connection within a global community of people around the world through content filled with questions, ideas, art, and interaction. We share many problems. We share, humanism. We share everything that makes us human. And our bet is that we can share together even more solutions.
Yes, and you need to know that there is in the future plans, near future plans, we hope that we will host pop-up experiences around the world, physical experiences that is going to help us to integrate this omni-channel platform. Well, we have this digital membership, this digital space to connect with all of you, and also these experiences in different parts of the world that you can go and live the exhibit and be with the art and with these these moments to reflect and decide. So that's LUAN, a omni-channel platform. And our promise is very simple, is we want to inspire you. We want to give you resources. We want to give you speakers, ideas, tools, techniques, a space to collaborate, the push to be with yourself, to have these moments of creation, of play, to have these spaces to reflect, to profound in these human topics that we need to address now if we want to have a better future. So that's LUAN. That's the possibility of a membership. Well, we can be together, and we call it inspiration on demand, because that's it. You have everything in your phone when you need it. Not to be overwhelmed or to be full of content. It's not that. It's a possibility to have every month a new exhibition full of content, full of ideas, beautiful audios, videos, techniques, exercises, sessions with the speakers. So you have these feel-good experiences and a global forum. People from Mexico, from Pakistan, from India, from Canada, from United States, from Latin America, from every part of the world. And that's the membership. And we want to share with you what is happening in LUAN, because if you are interested, we are really happy. We are really happy if you will give the product a try.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Let us know.
Algeria. No, Sarah is from Algeria.
Nice. Nice, Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
And yes, we want you to have this information. It's new, only for you. We have these new topics for the next months, and it will be an amazing ride. We are going to have 6 months of mental health, and we were going to approach the topic in several ways. We are having this exploration of emotions through art. Then we are going to navigate uncertainty, how we can develop the skills to live with so volatile, how to say volatile, yes. Volatile world. And we're going to explore how change happens, how we can be compassionate. And we are going to explore the rhythm of our story, our journey, of self-acceptance, of awareness, of how we can make decisions based in our ethical compass and our ethical view of the world, and how we can design these healthy and inclusive and diverse environments. And finally, what is at stake with a world that needs more kindness, that needs more culture of caring and respect. So these are our next topics, and we will be so happy to have you on board. It will be a really great adventure. So that's the idea. For now, we are with this digital membership. In the future, we will have these physical spaces. But now we want that you are our first generation, the first ones to be part of this space, and you are the how do you say how do you say the people that go to a place for the first time?
The first comers, right?
The first comers, yes. So this is a membership. We have 3 plans and pricing. You can try it in a 14-day free trial. You can cancel anytime. And we would love if you give it a try. It could be for a month, or you can have this opportunity of 1 year, 1 year subscription, and it gives you a really great price. All the money of the membership is exactly for this, to bring artists, bring speakers, to make you content, to develop and produce everything to have these feel-good experiences and give you inspiration. That's the money for. And we have a special announcement to end this session. If you subscribe to the membership and do it for October 15 at the latest,
yes.
You have this bonus package for today's attendees. So Hazel is going to put the link in the chat, but you are going to have a special content only for the attendees of this event and the people that registers from here to October 15. It will be a workshop, an amazing workshop about clarity and decision making through art. A private session with philosophers and musicians Adán Aguilar and Enrique Siqueiros about how in the ancient wisdom we solve a problem. We will have up-close Q&As with Marion and me to talk and to dialogue about everything about art and all the LUAN topics. And you will have an end of the year gift, LUAN calendar for 2022. So that's the promotion. That is the idea of having you in this space, and you take advantage of this opportunity and these special prices and special packages. What do you think, Maria?
Totally. I think this place is wonderful. It's completely curated by us and created, and have to be able to have many more experiences that we're adding every day to these digital platforms. So you have video, audio content, toolkits that you can download. It's an incredible experience inside this virtual environment. So join today, because eventually it's we have this promotion for this event only, and it would be wonderful to see you on the digital platform.
Yes, and just for finishing the event, we would love to hear you. Do you have any question, any ideas, suggestions, everything? What do you think about the topic of the session of today? What do you think about the membership? We would love to have feedback, and you have your ideas and have everything that is happening in your mind. So please share in the chat. I think, I don't know if we have some questions in the Q&A section.
Yes, we have some questions. The first one is from Akshkaya, and it says, Marion, we're going to do just, for everyone, we're going to do just a few minutes of questions, and then we announce next week's speakers, and then we close, right? So we're going to be closing in the next, 7 or 8 minutes. So the first question from Akshaya is, Marion, what advice would you give someone who wants to create and play but doesn't know how to start? Well, for starters, I would say, Ashkaya, that eventually it's like all of us as being human beings, we eventually have this internal compass called intuition and called motivation, right? And I remember that I was in these it was kind of like a Buddhist meditation retreat that I was, and I remember I asked the main speaker, like, how do you actually know, how you are aligned with something that has to do with your mission or with your life's purpose? And this person told me, well, if it sparks joy on you, or if it sparks energy on you, then you should definitely do more of that. If it drains the energy out of you, then you should eventually not, continue doing things like that. So I would say that the first thing is kind of like turn on that intuition. And if we can, go through different times in our lives that eventually that intuition kind of like gets silenced because, people around us, culture, stress, work, whatever. But I encourage you to start with like small things. Like if you would be in front of your computer, what would you like to see? You can go into Netflix, or you can go into other apps on YouTube. You can start, listening to amazing music. You can watch documentaries. You can start, doing art, painting. But you need to be, mindful and observe the level of energy that it gives you, and if it uplifts you, if it gives you joy, then it is the advice that I would give you, for how you can start creating either art and playing. That's a very good place to start. That would be my opinion. What do you think, Jenny? Good?
Yes. Yes, I think you say it perfectly.
Amazing. Well, another question from Daniela. How has Luan impacted you two personally?
That's a good question. Yeah, I worked so many years in education and innovation, and always the main topic always is technology, how to make schools better. But I was really frustrated of these solutions, of making something on scale, or making something with technology, or making something that make prevalences all the old ways of doing things. And LUAN is not that. LUAN is the opportunity to talk about the most important things of human beings: conversation, dialogue, mindfulness, decisions, dilemmas, how we relate to each other, knowing others. So that's what I love of LUAN, the possibility to make a dent in the world, but in the most simple and elegant way.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Love it. Love it. For me, I think it has been after working many years, in the creative industries, design, scenography, kind of like all these. I'm very sensitive to aesthetics, right? And to, things that, communicate through the eye, right? And eventually, after reaching kind of like, several successes in my career, I remember that I didn't actually started feeling the amount of satisfaction that I thought I was going to feel. And that's where I knew that, I need to change something. And then after exploring a little bit more, I realized that I wanted, or I needed, like my soul kind of like needed to, do something that of course involves, beauty, art, design, aesthetics, but also has an impact. So I think Luan kind of like, integrated kind of like my needs and wants and my potential into one amazing project that has given me the ability to curate and select, different experiences. And the most important thing is to be able to share them, to be able that if those experiences and those aesthetics, impact me, how can I actually, use that to impact other people the way that, that these ones are impacting myself. Right. So I believe in kind of like, sharing that with the world around us, because I believe that I kind of like call it kind of like team light. And actually Luan, it means, light in Celtic and ethics in Vietnamese. And it's something that I really like because it's kind of like spreading the light around the world. And I believe that's more aligned with my life's mission than other things that I was doing before. Right.
I love it. Yeah.
And the last question that I'm going to address, and then I announce next week's speakers, is from Susan Borak. Can you address the link between the prevalence of mental health issues in North America with the standard American diet? Yes, sure. It's really important to see that, mental health issues have a lot to do with our gut health. And of course, the standard American diet is not the best for gut health because, for example, there's something called dysbiosis and leaky gut. Well, actually, dysbiosis, creates leaky gut, and leaky gut creates a lot of mental disorders, okay? So how is leaky gut, produced? With foods that we eat, starches and sugars that eventually, and also gluten that eventually, harms our intestinal lining. And when our gut is not well balanced, we start having, anxiety, depression, memory loss. Actually, there's this, fungi called Candida, that high levels of Candida make you have exactly the same symptoms as Alzheimer's. And it could be, any age person, it could be someone really young or someone, really old and start having Alzheimer's, the symptoms of Alzheimer's. So I would really, suggest to check on our gut and mind relationship, because I think there's a lot of, the solutions for our mental health. Well, we're going to close today. Thank you, Yanira, and everyone who has joined the session from around the world. We have such an incredible community here, people connecting from many different parts around the world. It was fascinating. We encourage you to follow us on Instagram and YouTube for the latest news, and please feel free to answer the feedback form because all kinds of suggestions help us deeply, deeply improve. Our next session will be next Wednesday, October 13th, same time as today. It's called Emotions as a Portal to the Divine, and it will be with birth and end of life doula Amaya Suarez. In this session, we will explore what emotions do we encounter in the most important crossroads of our lives. Do we ever feel prepared? Do we know how we're going to react? And do we experience joy, bliss, anxiety, or even fear? Most of us, whether we intend to or not, polarize our emotion into the positive ones that we think we should be feeling and the negative ones that we don't want to feel, right? Yet each of our emotions, including fear, anger, and grief, have a vital role to play in our well-being and our direction in life. In their balanced expression, they don't only help us respond effectively to life, but they also connect us to the divine essence of who we really are. So that's why emotions are actually our pathway, our compass that let us know how we are living our life, if we our own internal self are liking it or not. Each of our emotions is a sacred portal that invites us to step out of the domain of the mind through the doorway of the body and into the realm of humanity. In this session, we will have a journey through emotions while we explore the most important portals in our lives: our birth, when we give birth, and when we die. Click on the link shared in the chat to register. Thank you so much again. Have a fantastic afternoon, a great evening, and a wonderful rest of the day. Stay safe and stay healthy, and see you next Wednesday. Thank you, Yanira, so much.
Thank you, Marion. Just an update. We are going to send the registration link to their emails.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you.
Bye.